Nagar, and this is our YouTube channel JIB CIB English Medium. And what am I going to deal with today? ABFM entire IIBF book questions. Matlab, it is very very important that today we discuss the entire IIBF book questions, because with every chapter there are certain amount of questions which are given in the book. So we should be open to that specific area. Ki what if they give questions from these areas altogether, you know? So if they give questions from the book itself, so what will we do? That is what we have to look forward to. First of all, please share this very very important session, like it and share it among your peers as early as possible. And let's quickly begin with this rapid fire IIBF book questions. Okay everyone, uh number one, which of the following functions of the management takes care of the reporting structure, everyone? We're talking about the reporting structure. When we talk about reporting structure, it is planning, staffing, organizing, directing. When we talk about reporting, everyone, planning is basically forecasting. Staffing is getting people into the organization. Directing is telling people what to do. But the entire reporting structure is made up in the area of organizing. The answer is C. Next question. Which of the following schools of management focuses on motivation? Quantitative school, new classical, system, or contingency? Quantitative school talks about taking the entire management from the point of view of what? Quantitative school talks about the working from the statistical point of view. Okay, that was all statistical. When we talk about the specific era of neoclassical had a few areas which talk about this area. So this can be the point. But next point is what? Next point is the era of system school. In terms of system school, I can say system school talked about the learning was basically an open system matlab it is for everybody, that you learn through the external ways, not the internal ways of working can work out. Okay, so that's another important area. Then contingency school of management talks about the contingencies which happen in the organization and how do they perceive the uncertain things. So in this case, it was given in neoclassical. Abraham Maslow was the first person who gave the motivation theory, need hierarchy theory. So in this case, it is B. Everyone, which of the following is correct? The workforce should be given any target or slogans or exhorted to achieve production levels without devising new methods. The practice of considering price as the criteria of awarding business contracts should be introduced, and total cost should be minimized by having a large number of suppliers. Fixed arbitrary production quotas for the workforce and numerical targets for the management should be used as set by the managers. The barriers to the pride of workmanship as well as annual rating or merit system should be removed with the emphasis on improvement in quality. See, in the first case, if there is too much of I would say if there are too much of ranking and micromanagement, people get offended with it because there is too much of intervention in their working. So that's one particular thing that is definitely there. Okay, that is why you should give them the space to work on their own. That space which they get on their own helps them to work in a positive and a more efficient manner. Okay, so when we talk about this specific area, that is in terms of this, first part is definitely wrong. Then second part, practice of considering price as a criteria of business contract should be introduced. If there is a lot of costing in scenario, I don't think we can work in a sane manner there. Okay, price and everything else to be considered too much will not help you out in terms of your working. And a lot of quotas and numerical targets is gonna kill anybody, because you are always under that particular stress that you have to achieve that part. So the correct answer is actually D, in which they say ki you should actually remove this part and you should enjoy the workmanship spirit, because everybody who's working in the organization, they would have been giving a lot of efforts and working towards the organization. Na? So if you remove that part and introduce the basic systems rather than too complicated and a lot of micromanagement, then people will definitely work in a better manner. Done? Chaliye. That is D, everyone. Next question. A learning. Okay, I'm sorry. The answer is visible there. Chaliye, let's look forward to it. A learning organization is important because it helps an organization control its costs. Learning organization is basically the one which is open to the different kinds of learning. It makes the employees the best in the industry. It helps managers to impose their views on their subordinates, or it increases the effectiveness and efficiency. Learning organization is open to new methods, and when you are open to new methods, you will always grow better. So in this case, the answer is actually D only. It increases effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness matlab we are saying that the company will be finishing off their work in time. Effectiveness has T there. T is about time, while efficiency is about cost. So when the organization is able to learn new things, or at least shows that enthusiasm that they want to learn something new, the organization will always be in a better and rather a way better situation. ठीक है? चलिए, now let's move on. The correct answer was D. Oh. In terms of digital gap, what can give it a rise to? Technological innovations, in inequalities, then higher profits or improved operations. When we talk about the digital gap, some people will have it, and it is about having haves and have nots. For example, if we talk about financial technologies, fintech, not everybody has it. So there is always there's a gap in the people out there, that there can be a situation where we have haves and have nots in the market. So when such a thing happens, you will always find that there is a gap, or there is someone who would be having it and a few people will not be having that knowledge. It leads to the specific area of inequalities, because opportunities would be lesser known to those people who have the digital gap, rather than the one we which do see, the ones which do not have a digital gap, they will always have more knowledge than the person who actually faces the digital gap. Let's be honest about it. So in this case, the answer is inequalities. Okay, coming on to the next area, the term that most accurately captures planning is what? An all-encompassing procedure in which the planning and execution and monitoring of the plans are included, coming up with the ideas for how the goals and of the organization can be accomplished, determining the goals of the organization and strategies to achieve those goals, or the primary focus of the work is done by planners and planning departments. See, that is a few parts are clear, that at least D part is definitely there, that it is partially telling you about the specific area of that when we do the planning part, it gives you the specific area of the departments which would be there. But to be very honest, in this case, it gives you the path and also the how to walk on that path and how to reach that path. All these things are included in planning. So that means when you are planning something, you have to go very deep into the specific questions further. You know? So in this case, what's going to be the answer, everyone? So in this case, the correct answer is actually C. Determining the goals as well as the strategies. You're going to find out the goals of the organization along with their strategies. The first thing you should do when you start planning something is always remember, when you start planning something, it is always you set up the objectives of the organization. First part is always objective decision making. Matlab, what is the objective of the organization, your aim of the organization, okay? That is mission and vision of the organization. These things are the reason, and these are the basics of any corporate organization that you can see. So in this case, which part is definitely there? That is set a goal for yourself. Evaluate alternatives is the next part, finding your strengths and weaknesses. Once you decide what you want to do, then you can always do the SWOT analysis of it. Then examination of results from the past. That will not be helpful, everyone. If I'm going for +2 examination, then my 10th examination marks are definitely not that important, because I would have changed my stream and the level would also be different. Done, everybody? Now after this, what do we have? We have the next question, which says, set a goal for yourself. Which aspect of planning is connected to the fact that the planners typically have a high level of intelligence, because they keep talking about their ability to evaluate their surroundings. forecast the future, and evaluate all those factors in relation to a variety of other options in order to choose the most suitable one. See, when we talk about planning, now we look at multiple plans, and among the following, whichever plan is super duper correct, then we choose that particular part. ठीक है ना. So in this case what you do is that involves intellectual workout. Planning involves looking into the future. We don't really look into the future, rather we try to anticipate the future. The most important part is the management process. I won't say it's not the most important, though it lays down the foundation, and then making choices an integral part of planning. This is also true, but when we talk about the future forecast and everything else to be considered there, then the answer is A. There is a basically mental thought process which is based upon it. It is an intellectual workout. Intellectual matlab you're just thinking about it. Working and all doesn't work that way. Done? Done everybody? Chaliye then. Let's move on to the next question. The planning process sets the foundation for controlling, directing, staffing, and organizing. Though वैसे तो just after planning we have the area of organizing, then staffing, but overall when we talk about the uh, working and the connectivity, it is always between the planning and the coincidence. ठीक है? Planning and the part of controlling, they're not the coincidence, sorry, because once a particular thing happens, it is never due to a coincidence. There's always some involvement of other thing involved. Done? Then everybody, in this case, what's going to be the answer? The planning process is based upon controlling. Planning and controlling goes hand in hand. Once you think about how to do, and when to do, and if the things do not go as per plan, then you can definitely create a particular hike in the organization where they can talk about that the particular people are not listening to their decisions, and this is where they're looking forward towards taking actions and all. Then everybody, this is A. Next point, when exactly during the planning process does the most feasible planning becomes the one that can actually be carried out? It's going to be at the development premises or considering the various potential courses of action, choosing between available options or establishing objectives. When we talk about the specific area of planning process, now they're saying does the most feasible plan becomes the one. So when we are looking at the most feasible plan, we're always looking at different options and choosing the one. So in this case, it is choosing between available options. In this case, the correct answer is actually choosing the between the various options, because you have multiple options and among the one you will be choosing the one which is best suited for your organization. Okay. Which of the following does not constitute the process of organizing everyone? Establishing reporting relationships, it's a part of the entire working. Then comes determining the who is responsible for a particular activity, then diminishing or designing and the assignment of work. When we talk about the specific area which does not include the process of working, everybody, what's going to be the answer in this case? Everybody, what's going to be the answer in this case? Everyone, when you talk about the area of process of organizing is basically when you define the organizing resources and you establish the reporting relationships. Who's going to be the senior, who's going to be the junior. When we talk about the specific area of organizing, it involves the reporting relationship establishment. It talks about the specific area of which particular activity is given to whom as well. Then it also talks about and as well as the indirect expenses. Then we talk about the area of organizing. Organizing is what? You define the working of the organizing organization, and then you determine the working in a certain manner. So in this case, it is establishing relationship is a part of it. Specialization happens. It is not something that you do, but it happens because one particular task is again time and again. And dividing and assigning the work is also there. So in this case, the answer is specializing because this is the only thing that happens. You don't deliberately do it. Everybody, now let's move on to the next question. Part of this process involves organizing the activities into categories according to the product line. Functional structure, then divisional structure, organization with official standing or unofficial group of standing of those organizations which have that standing or option. When we define the specific area of different product lines, now that means you want to have a separate advertising, separate people who would be working for this separate organization altogether. When we define the specific area of this exclusively the product which is going to be different from others. For example, Tata took the specific area of the market segment in terms of their groceries are different from that of they have the frozen foods and all those things are also there. When we talk about the specific product lines, everyone, since we have introduced multiple products, for example, Himalaya has introduced regular daycare products separately and the kid care products separately. This shows what they have is called the divisional structure. When you have multiple products and those multiple products are chosen for the allocation, it is called divisional authority. Sorry, divisional hierarchy. Then it is possible to delegate a financial finance decision making power to individuals at lower levels. What do they do? In this case, what's going to be the answer? Assignment of it is possible to delegate the decision making. The delegation of anything that can be done is basically something which is non-core for you. If it is core, then you will keep it for yourself. You know, so in this case, what's going to be the answer? It is possible to delegate decision making power to individuals to at lower level. When we're talking about lower level, this is known as assignment of responsibility, centralization, decentralization, or none of the preceding options. When we're looking at individuals at lower level, then what will happen? It is possible to delegate decision making power to people at lower level. Matlab, this is the next person to yourself. Now, then this is your delegation. But when we put giving your work to multiple people who are working below you, it is decentralization. Okay. Then the expression of span of management refers to, everyone, span of management means the number of people I can handle under who are working under me. For example, if I am the manager, so under the one manager, how many teams can work, how many people can work, will make this particular manager bigger or smaller. So when such a thing happens, it is basically what? Scope of manager's duties and responsibilities, responsibility of the manager, maximum number of direct subordinates. So the answer is C, the maximum number of subordinates that one particular supervisor or a particular person can handle. Okay, the answer is visible there. The When we talk about centralization, we mean, everyone, simple. Centralization means keeping the power at the center. You do not want to distribute your power to anybody. You want to keep that particular power to yourself only. Okay, that is how you define the specific area in which you say that the power should be all and all yours. That is how you define the term centralization, right? So centralization is keeping the power at the center. Which of the following does not qualify as an important aspect of staffing? Developing talents in workers, realizing a reasonable distribution of responsibilities among staff, contentment on the part of the employees, or effective management of available human resources. Effective management is definitely a part of it. Developing talent is basically something which you try to do. In this case, what is not there is the reasonable distribution of responsibilities. You cannot have a reasonable distribution among different people. People will always feel that a few people are working more and a few people are working less. So this is not the point that will bring out their satisfaction in the working. But yeah, you can definitely make people better in terms of working, that even if the workload increases, they can still manage. ठीक है ना? Oh. Which of the following is mostly helpful in determining the individual's potential to pick up new abilities? Test of English language is definitely not the one, though answer is visible. Let me tell you about this as well. The test of proficiency of in a particular trait, what you already know, is test of proficiency. GK is again what you already know. What you can learn in the upcoming future is your aptitude testing. Okay, there is something called trait test, there is something called aptitude test. Aptitude testing talks about what you already know about the ability of your learning, where what you can learn in the upcoming future is called this. Okay. Then comes, which of the following is a good source of for filling the vacant position with people from departments and that already have too many workers? Employment exchange, relocation, promotion, fresh recruitment. If an organization in a specific department, when you can see a lot of people, what will you do? If I don't want to remove those people on out of the organization, I will move them to other departments if they are doing good work. But somehow while we were putting people to work, I just kept a few people in a particular department more than others. So what will I do to reduce the number of people working in that area? All I can do is I can just take those people and shift them to another department where there is a dire need of people. So in this case, the answer is relocation, move to another department. A manager's propensity to make use of knowledge about subordinates in the ways that lead to incorrect perceptions of those subordinates is referred to as, everyone, glass ceiling effect. Glass ceiling effect is where we do not allow women to go up. Then we have the next part as bias, when you are being partial. Whistleblowing, you tell people about the problems that you have seen in the organization, you report them. And allocation of responsibility, the answer here is sorry, it's not whistleblowing, it is bias. Okay. When you are being biased means you are not dealing the things in the certain manner that should be there. It's not fair, basically. That means you're partial, maybe towards one particular organization a little more than others. ठीक है ना? Then, for resolving which of the following issues, training proves to be the most successful method. Skill gaps, attitudinal issues, insufficient motivation, or attendance difficulties. Uh, Training. Acha, everyone, with the training issue, what will happen? I think if I'm trained well now, the very first thing that will happen with me is accidents would happen lesser, to be very honest. That's one particular thing that will happen. So then I would learn that particular thing. So it's not about attitudinal issue or attendance issue or even insufficient motivation. It's the skill gap that I'll be covering, isn't it? I will learn something which is definitely new to the market, or something which I'll be able to work in a smoother manner. So that work will never be a mind blockage for me, that oh, how will I finish it off? That particular ideology will not hit me. In this case, the answer is skill gaps. Acha, which of the following does not belong to the category of content theories? Acha, pata hai, content theories were basically the theories in which they talked about the the motivation. How do you get motivated? The list of the things that can affect you or motivate you is covered under content theories. So when we talk about Maslow's need hierarchy theory, it's a part of it. Vroom or Herzberg's two-factor theory, or McLelland's theory of acquired needs. I think all of these have it except Victor Vroom's expectancy theory. This talks about the fact that valency instrumentality is there, basically one thing leading to another and leading to another. So this is not content. Okay? The content theories are basically what affects you. As per Herzberg or two-factor theory or McLelland's theory of acquired needs, they have defined that these are the list of the things that will motivate a person or demotivate a person. So when it is about motivation or demotivation, that's a part of this specific area exclusively, and nothing else. ठीक है ना? Done. Then comes, which of the following leadership styles is an indication that the leader has confidence in the skill of his or her followers? Participative, delegative, authoritarian, or transactional? Participative means he sits down and work with them. Delegative is basically giving them the power to grow. Okay? And then the specific area is authoritarian. When you are being 30, that means you don't really trust them. And transactional, who are working with you. So in this case, what will happen? See, if you believe that they are grown up enough and they can sit with you and take the decisions with you, that is where you are getting better and better in your working. So in this case, yeah, I can say it has to be participative one, because you let them be a part of the entire decision making process rather than just imposing it on them. The factors that an individual values and strives to accomplish are depending on whether or not the connections between means and ends are made clear, anticipation that the higher level of performance will be accomplished successfully as a result of increased efforts, their successful execution of the task, or it is provided with essential assistance in the form of training, direction, and training. Everyone? When we talk about individuals, see, how will an individual grow? Based upon whether or not the connections are important. I think the correct answer would be, it would be done if you increase your as a result of increased effort. Effort is one of the basic things. This successful execution is not the point, because even you have to make sure that your plans are clear. If your plans are clear, only then your execution would be better. You know, so this is also not the point. And this part is saying that training has to be done. Training is not the only element that helps you out. It can help you grow, but that is not the main point. So answer is B. Done. Now comes, which of the following types of leadership allows for the least amount of input for feedback from the workforce? A leadership style that emphasizes direction, the method of leadership based on consultation, the method of leadership based upon participation, or emphasizes delegation. Delegation matlab sharing your powers with the lower level. It has three basic elements: authority, responsibility, and authority, responsibility, and accountability. Done? So in this case, what's going to be the answer? A leadership style that emphasizes direction, consultation, participation, or delegation. Leadership, see, for the least amount of feedback. I think if I talk about, I don't want a lot of feedback from the people, then you just want to direct people. Okay? If you do for your least amount of input, you don't want input and feedback, then you have to just tell them what direction they have to go. Then there would be lesser other things. Consultation, we'll be talking about it. Participation, we'll sit down and talk. And delegation is also an important area where you have to discuss all these things. Then which of the following statements about the participatory style of leadership is not true? Work is distributed among the people. Throughout the course of the work, the leader offers advice and direction. The decisions of the leader make are dependent on the findings that are gleaned from the workforce. The leader does not delegate any task. Everyone, if you're having a participative thing, how can you survive without sharing the powers? You need to have the people to work with you in a certain manner, na? Then you need to give the clarity to them. How do they work and how do they pursue their working all together? So there is one particular thing which is definitely existing, that is leaders, they have to delegate powers to other people so that they can work in a better manner. So the correct answer is actually D, everyone. Okay. Now comes, which of the following will need to be compared with budgets in order to determine whether or not the goals have been achieved? Budget is basically the one which we anticipate and we created while deciding our books of accounts. Okay? So basically in this case, you are deciding what kind of money that you need and how do you work upon that that monetary terms altogether. Risk undertaken, target given, actual performance, or standard cost. When you really have to compare your budget with something, it is basically your actual performance. Basically, what you do is सोचा था क्या और क्या हो गया. Your standard and your actual performance, they are compared to look out for any deviations. Which of the following does not belong to the category of limitations associated with controlling? The limited liability to influence external factors, an expensive endeavor, maintaining self discipline, or challenges involving in establishing quantitative benchmarks. Which category does not belong to the category of controlling? Controlling is basically quite expensive, and limitations, obviously it is very difficult to maintain self-discipline as well. Someone else telling you will always be a little troublesome, but it will always help you to correct that particular part, you know. So self-discipline is quite hard to maintain. Then limited liability to influence external factors. You just cannot influence external factors. Everyone, I am nobody to settle out the Ukraine Russia war. Technically this is also true. The answer is C, that maintaining self-discipline part only, that is point number C. Rest everything is basically falling in the specific controlling part. Done. The act of bringing together the facilities and persons necessary to collect and processing information that is required at the top management is referred to as PERT, CPM, program evaluation and review technique. This is for new productions when you have a sequence and that you show in the form of network. CPM is critical path method, the method that you had been using for years, so you're just trying to look forward to the map of it. Analysis of the ratios or management information system. MIS talks about providing the information to the departments as early as possible. मतलब as and when it is actually required, you prepare that part. ठीक है? Done, everyone? In this case, the correct answer is management information system. As and when the information is system, you quickly provide the information in the communication methods as early as possible. Which of the following does not belong to the category of control processes? Taking a look at the variations, then organizing the combined efforts of employees, taking action to make things right, or establishing benchmarks for the performance. Everyone? What's going to be the answer in this case, everyone? Then everyone, which of the following does not belong to the category of control processes? If I talk about the control processes, control is basically looking at where we are and where we want to be. Overall, we are talking about that part now. So taking, in this case, the answer should be what? Taking a look at the variations, organizing the combined efforts of the employees, taking action to make things right, or establishing benchmarks for the performance. When we talk about which of the following does not belong to the category of processing, processes base control is basically what? Control is basically comparing between plan and the actual the implementation of the same. So planning and actual, when they are compared, that is your controlling process. So taking a look at the variations is a part of controlling. Then organizing the combined efforts, that is not a part of it. You're not worried about organizing it. You have to find out wherever the difference is and we have to correct it, and that is it. This is not their headache. Organizing efforts and all, this is a part of organizing and staffing and all. This is not a part of controlling. Controlling checks where we are and where we want to be and why is there a difference. That's it. Which of the following sentences does not fail to emphasize the connection between planning and controlling? Okay, to be very honest, planning and controlling goes hand in hand. Planning is basically blind without controlling is basically blind without planning. Because if I tell you control, 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 you'll be like, what I need to control? You need to tell me about that part. Which particular aspect of the business, which particular part of our business has to be controlled, and how? What are your standards? And when we talk about everyone, you need to improve, you need to improve, but nobody's actually improving. It's of no use. Again, you're just talking about it, you're not doing it. So basically, when we talk about planning is handicapped without controlling. When you don't compare and say things are not working as per the plan, that means we are going weaker in terms of our execution. That is where the entire thing works, you know. So in this case, you have to see that you need to look forward towards planning and organizing. So look at this part. The managerial task of planning and controlling are often seen to be separate. Nay, we have just talked about they are connected. Rest everything would be talking about it. In the first point itself, they are saying it is separate, while normally they are not separate. They are followed by each other. Your previous planning will determine your next plan. Your previous controlling, wherever your previous plan failed, will tell you when to start making a new plan. So in this case, the answer should be A. The managerial task of the planning and controlling are often seen to be separate. They are basically not separate. Equity shares have a or an unlimited life, voting right, and receive dividends. Limited life equity shares do not have a limited life. So this is out. So this is also out. Equity shares are there in the business till the very end of the business technically. So in this case, what's going to be the point, everyone? It is they should be having equity shareholders have unlimited life and they also receive dividends. Yes, because the part of profit which they deserve is the dividend part, and they have unlimited life. Till the time the organization is alive, the money stays invested in the equity shareholders. So answer is A. Everyone, module number B has officially begun. I hope you are looking at this point. Everybody, when we talk about the specific area of external sources of finance do not include debenture, retained earnings, overdraft, or leasing. See, when we talk about external sources of money, this is the money that other people are giving you. This is not your own money. This is something that other people are giving you. So that will not include retained earnings. This is your internal money. The portion of equity share capital which the particular company is not giving to the shareholders right now, they're keeping it as a savings. If this is for the company's survival further as well, that the people who are working in the organization, their money which is saved in the business stays there. If this is taken out, that means the company is dying. ठीक है ना? Then in this case, the answer is retained earnings or internal accrual. Preference shares. Everyone, preference shares, please note, they do not have any voting rights. That's one particular reality. They never had voting rights, but they will get voting rights if the company fails to pay them the dividend for a period of 20 years. More than 2 years have passed, then the preference shares cannot have the voting rights. Then preference shares must always pay dividends. They have limited voting rights or uh, are not a part of the company's share capital. It is a part of share capital. This is also wrong. And then partners are eligible for interest. They do not get interest, they get dividend. So last two are definitely not the point. When we talk about preference shares, they should always receive dividends. That is one particular reality. They अच्छा must always pay dividends. नहीं ठीक है. Second part makes more sense, that have limited voting rights. Technically, they do not have the voting rights until or unless the company makes a mistake. Everybody, in terms of preference shares, you will have the voting rights only and only if the company makes a default for continuously 2 years. If they are making the default for more than 2 years only, then this will make sense. Otherwise, this will not. A debenture issued for a period of 10 years is a long-term loan, cannot be issued as a secured instrument, is a short-term loan, nahi, the debenture which is basically a debt instrument only. So in this case, when we talk about it is for 10 years, there is no point to look at the other points. It is basically a loan. Anything which is for more than 1 year automatically becomes long term. So in this is it's a long term loan. Debenture is a debt instrument. A perpetual debt capital refers to perpetual debt capital matlab you gave money until the time the company is alive. This particular money stays in the business. Okay? When we talk about this funding, it is there to stay in the business. That is how we define this particular part as perpetual debt. Funds raised through the sale of shares, funds raised by the borrowing that need not to be paid, factoring accounts receivable or inventory. So the point is actually B. You have taken money and this money stays in the business till the time the business is alive. That is what is called perpetual debt. The debt you have given and you do not wish to get repayment during the lifetime of the company. Only when the company is dying that then your money can be recovered. Everyone, here comes a specific question on operating leverage. Operating fixed cost is rupees 20,000, sales is 1 lakh, PV ratio is 40%. The degree of operating leverage is 2, 2.5, 2.67 or 2.47. What's going to be the answer? When we talk about operating leverage is contrary divided by sales. No, this is your PV ratio, sorry. This is your PV and operating is contrary divided by earning before interest and tax. Okay, na? So in this case, everyone, when I'm trying to find my contribution, that is what I don't know, but your PV ratio is given. PV ratio will determine the portion of your contribution, because this is PV ratio is contrary upon sales into sales will give you the portion of contribution directly. If I have 1 lakh and I have kept for a certain amount of money and then I had to go then in this case what happens is, see, if I'm producing something for 1 lakh rupees, then the production has to be there. Once I'm producing something, there is a certain part of the expense which has to be done in any case. Everybody in this case, first of all, you take that 1 lakh rupees and the contribution is 40% of 1 lakh, because this is PV into sales. This will give you that the contribution is what? Your contribution overall is, oh, I'm sorry, got the answer here. The answer is 1 lakh. The contribution is actually 40,000. In this case, your contribution comes out to be 40. When we talk about this area, once your contribution is done, then remove your fixed cost. Fixed cost is 20,000. What are you left with? Your earning before interest and taxes. 40 minus 20, it is 20. Your contribution was 40,000. Your EBIT was 20. The formula says what is the degree of operating leverage? It is actually 2 times. Okay? In the examination, this would be always given that this is in times. The degree of operating leverage is calculated on what basis? We have just talked about the formula. Contribution divided by EBIT, or EBIT upon PBT, or EBIT upon I, or EBIT upon T. The degree of operating leverage is basically EBA, contribution upon EBIT. The answer is A. The degree of financial leverage is calculated as EBIT divided by country, EBIT divided by EBT, EBIT upon sales, or sales by variable cost. When we talk about the area of financial leverage, what is it going to be? Financial leverage is EBIT upon country, EBIT upon EBT, EBIT upon sales, or EBIT divided by variable cost. Whenever we try to find our financial leverage, it is always EBIT upon EBT. In this case, financial leverage is what? Financial leverage is EBIT upon EBT. The answer is B. Done. Next point. Which of the following best indicates the business risk? Operating leverage, financial leverage, combined, or total? Total leverage or combined leverage is the same. Huh? So in this case, the correct answer is actually operating leverage. Operating leverage is basically the one which defines the business risk, because if you are operating properly only, then the company will survive through the tough time. Otherwise, the company will not. So in this case, the correct answer is actually operating leverage. Everyone, last question from the area of leverages. From the following information, calculate the degree of the combined leverage. Sales, variable cost, fixed cost, and contribution. 20 lakh, 40%, 10 lakh, as well as 10 lakh ka 8% is your borrowings. Everyone, we're talking about combined leverage. For this particular method, you need to know financial leverage into operating leverage will give you combined. What's the formula? This is EBIT upon EBT, and this formula is country divided by EBIT. So once you have taken out the area of EBIT and EBIT is cut, what are we left with? Country divided by earning before tax. So in this case, what's your contribution? Sales minus variable cost. 20 lakh minus 40% of it. Matlab 20 lakh minus 8 lakh. We are left with 12 lakh. So your calculation shows your contribution is 12 lakh. Then remove your fixed cost. Fixed cost is 10 lakh. That means your earning before interest and tax was 2 lakh. In this case, what's going to be the answer then? EBIT is also done. Earning before interest and tax. From this, you need to remove the area of interest as well. Interest is basically 8% of 10 lakh. 8% of 10 lakh matlab 80,000. You know, you were thinking you have got 10 lakh. So even you're not even getting 10 lakh there. From 10 lakh, remove this particular portion further. That means you're left with 1,20,000. Your contribution is 12 lakh. And your actual amount is 1,20,000. So in this case, it is actually 10 times. Everyone, which formula did I use? I used the formula sales. Just a moment, since a lot of things have been written, or maybe you'll be having a problem there somewhere. That is why. Look at this part. You take your sales minus your variable cost equal to contribution then your fixed cost, that will give you what? Earnings before interest and tax. This is your EBIT. The answer here is what? It is 10 times. Everybody got the idea? Here comes the next question. for the next chapter, everyone. A capital budgeting technique which does not require computation of cost of capital for decision making purposes is NPV, IRR, modified rate of internal rate of return or payback period. A capital budgeting technique that does not require computation of cost of capital. Cost of capital is basically the portion where we talk about discounting, factoring and all. Na? NPV talks about it. Even IRR talks about it. The cost of capital is not required in payback period, because in this case, in how much time you recover your funding is the sole thing. It doesn't matter whatever is happening further. It is worried about only thing how much time you can recover your funding, and that's the only obsession that it is having. Rest everything is not relevant for it. IRR method would favor projects proposals which have heavy cash flows in the beginning. IRR means that your PV factor is always higher in your initial years, and then it goes down. For example, if I take a 10% there, you must have seen the PV factor of 10%. It is 0.909, 0.826, 0.751. So technically in the beginning they have the max amount, and overall they start declining further. So in this case it is a heavy then will this particular thing be beneficial? I think if your amount is high and your PV factor is also high, then you will always have more and higher income and more sufficiency in terms of that. ठीक है ना? So evenly distribution part is definitely not there. Heavy cash inflows of at the later stage, this is not the point. So in this case, none of the above. The correct answer is actually A. Heavy cash flows in the beginning will give you a super important and plus wali amounts. Everybody, what's going to be the point? In this case it is heavy cash flows in the beginning. When you have more cash flows in the beginning, you have higher value as well as higher PV factor. The overall value would be always more in the beginning. Then while evaluating capital investment proposal, time value of money is used in which of the following techniques? Time value of money is basically considering the time value factor, na discounting factor. Payback does not use it. Annual rate of return does not use it. Then we have net present value or none of the above. In this case, a correct answer would be everybody. In terms of evaluating capital investment decision, time value of money. Time value of money is not checked in ARR as well as payback. Everybody, when we talk about the investment proposal, it is actually NPV which uses the time value of money, because payback period says in how much time you can recover the part. Accounting rate of return is talking about the percentage of return that you are getting. So technically it is NPV. Depreciation is included as a cost in which of the following techniques? Accounting rate of return, NPV, IRR or none? Depreciation is always a part of expense only in accounting rate of return. In accounting part, it is an expense which has to be included and which reduces the interest on it. But rest cannot be. Depreciation is what? Depreciation is to be included in ARR, NPV, IRR. IRR and NPV clearly says only the cash flow after taxes has to be considered. That is the CFAT. It is not included in what? It is not included in account. And it is a part of your expense in a normal case under the specific area of accounting rate of return, everyone. A company management is considering 1 CR investment in a project for 5 years, no residual is there. The total income of the project is expected to be 60 lakhs, okay, and recognition is given in the method of straight line method on the investment. The average rate of return is what? Everybody, what's going to be the answer in this case? Everybody, go ahead and answer. And investment management is looking at 10 lakh rupees. Okay. In this case, when they say 10 lakh, no residual value would be there. That means 10 lakh, 10 crores. This is, sorry, this is 1 crore. No? Sorry. This is 1 CR. 1 CR divided by 5. That means every year it is going like 20 lakh. The correct answer in this case is actually 24%, everyone. How does it work overall? If I have 1 CR, your total depreciation is 20 lakh, which is allowed as an expense. Your income is 60 lakh. From 60, remove this 20. So what are you left with around? 40 lakhs you are left with every single year. So in this case of accounting rate of return, the average rate of return, average is what? Average is basically the total amount that you will be getting every single year. Then that has to be considered. If the total income from the project, actually this is 60 lakh is total income, sorry, 60 lakh is the total income for how many months, everyone? 60 lakhs is the income for 5 years. That means every year you are getting 12 lakh. Every year your income is 12 lakh. Out of that 12 lakh, you are also also losing the specific area of what you are every single year you are having a depreciation as well, na? When we talk about this area, accounting rate of return says you take average investment divided by average income divided by average investment. When you use that formula, then you get the answer is 24%. Always remember there are different methods of doing ARR. Common divided, if you take the specific area of working there in a certain manner where you're looking at in how much time we can recover the funds. So in this case, it is actually 24%. Everyone, what do you mean by capital budgeting? Capital budgeting is done so that we can actually find out whether the asset that we are trying to buy is worth buying or not. है ना? So in this case, evaluating short-term investment decisions, evaluating medium-term investment decisions, evaluating long-term investment decisions, or none of the above. What's gonna be the answer? When we look at capital budgeting is basically looking at whether we are having long term decisions and whether we are taking those long term decisions in a proper way or not. Everybody, capital budgeting is basically a long term one, it's not a short term one. Okay, it's a long term investment decision. Next point, IRR method would favor the projects. So this is similar to the question that we have done earlier as well. In terms of IRR, IRR will always give more funding to the Project which have higher money in the beginning, because at that point of time your discounting factor is also more. It declines over the period of time. So technically till the time your discounting factor is higher, your income is higher, your overall PV factor will also be higher amount. There would never be a problem there, है ना? So heavy cash flows in the early years of the project is where the project becomes acceptable. The reinvestment assumption in case of IRR technique assumes that cash flow is reinvested in the project as per IRR amount, or cash flows can be reinvested at the weighted average cost of capital. We have talked about weighted average cost of capital in multiple classes, everyone. I hope you remember the particular term there. WACC is considering the cost of capital of debt, equity as well as the preference shares. So when we talk about the weighted average cost of capital, your WACC looks like this. Your cost of equity into the weight of equity, your cost of debt multiplied by the weight of debt plus cost of preference into the weight of preference shares. ठीक है ना? In this case, what's going to be the answer? When we are putting this money back into the business, that means we're not enjoying this money at all. So in this case, what's going to be the point? It is they are reinvested again in the business at IRR. The interest rate would be the one which is prevailing in the market right away. ठीक है ना? Done. Multiple IRR are obtained when? Everyone, what's going to be the answer in this case? When we talk about multiple IRR matlab you have am I audible? When you talk about multiple IRR, na, that means your break-even points are multiple. This happens only and only in one situation. And the situation is when you have cash flows which are positive, and then you put money again. That means a little of negative and then positive things are there. Whenever we have some negative signs or we put sequential investments, matlab we put money in the beginning, initial investment and followed by further investments as well. Then only we have multiple IRR. So in this case, the point would be P. When cash flows reverse their signs during the project. Reverse their signs means instead of getting inflows, you also have some outflows. Okay? Okay. Here comes the next question. What is the internal rate of return of the project having cash flows of 40,000 per year for 10 years and the cost is 2,26,009? Acha, when we have this kind of question, everyone, you will have to do the hit and trial method. Matlab, you have to see that you are getting 40,000 for how many years, everyone? You are getting 40,000 for 10 years. Okay, so take up any of these. You want your initial cost equal to 2,26,009. At least you get a figure which is similar to your this. Let's take up 10% here. Once you find the discounting factor of 10%, it is 1 divided by 1.10. Click on equal to 10 times. This is your calculator trick. Huh? So click on equal to 10 times and find it out. Whatever value comes out, in this case it is coming at 6.14, and I'm 6.144, and I'm multiplying it with 40,000. Now this is giving me a value of 2 lakh because this is your discounting factor, huh? So this is giving me the value of 2,45,078 this is higher. Okay, if this is 10% is going higher, then what happens is I need lower value na. This should be 12%. 1 divided by 1.12. 5.65. This is 5.65. I'm multiplying this with 40,000 and this gives me 2,26,009. Everyone, did you notice what did I do? I used 10%. Matlab you need to have a starting point. So I thought let's take it at 10%. In terms of discounting factors, we normally use 10%. Then I moved on to the specific area of 12%. Why? In terms of when I use 10%, my valuation was higher. There's a rule that you need to remember. Your discounting factor, okay, if the percentage is higher, your NPV will go lower. At 10% I was at 2,45,000. I have to go lower than 10%, lower than 2,45,000. I need to reach at 2,26,000. If I want to reach at 2,26,000, I want an amount lower, so I will go higher in terms of percentage. So in this case it should be 12%. You have to sit down then do the calculation part. How did we do the calculation part? You take 1 divided by the percentage. That means in this case, I used 1 divided by 1.12, clicked on equal to 10 times, and then I used GT function. GT function is grand total, or whatever you have gotten each and every, you get it into the memory, and then whatever valuation you get, that is to be considered here. Okay? So in this case, it is 12%. Next point, certainty equivalent approach. When we talk about certainty equivalent approach, one of the easiest way to learn this method is certainty talks about the chances are higher that you will receive this amount. So guaranteed return from investment after adjusting the certainty equivalent coefficient, return is expected over the lifespan equivalent to NPV, no. An important component in decision tree, no. In this case it is guaranteed return. Certainty shouts like anything and says certainty means something which you will definitely get, you know. So it is about something that you will definitely get. Then when it is about something that you will definitely get is guaranteed amount. So the entire story behind this ends in this case, that in this case it simply talks about only and only this part. ठीक है ना? चलिए. Now moving on to the next point, everyone. Scenario analysis is considered under scenarios such as worst case, best case, base case, or all of the above. But what is the difference between scenario and sensitivity analysis? Sensitivity analysis talked about the studies in a certain way that it talked about one factor at a time. While scenario analysis said that whenever you are calculating something, then always calculate that particular thing from the point of view of multiple variables to be considered. When you are considering multiple variables, good can happen, bad can happen, and even worse can happen. Good, bad, worse, anything can happen. So in this case, it is clear when we are talking about this part, then it is all of the above. ठीक है, it is all of the above. Sensitivity analysis is useful when it shows probability associated with each outcome. It tells the user how much critical each input is. This sounds better because see, if I get sick with one particular thing more than the other thing, that means one particular thing affects me more. This means my sensitivity towards one thing is more than my sensitivity towards the other. It allows to calculate probable results under different scenarios, and it results in sensitivity are reliable. No. In this case, the right answer is actually B only. Which particular variable, because we are studying each and every variable individually. When we are studying things individually, then obviously it is quite difficult to, it is easier rather to find out which particular thing will affect me more. You know? Done? Next part is this only, everyone. When we talk about when the risk is high, the cash flow under certainty coefficient method is what? I think when we talk about the risk, if the risk is higher, what will happen? Your CEC, again, when the risk is high, it is already given. The CEC would be lower. ठीक है ना? The certainty would be low when the risk is high. It's always that point. When you have a more risk, things will definitely be different. Done? Chale. Now let's move on to the next point, everyone. Acha, answer for this question is also given. Risk arises from the various sources such as market risk. Market risk is where we believe that things can go up in the market or down in the market. Competition risk, which talks about the competition in the market. International risk, matlab we are looking at multiple areas in the market. In terms of the competition, there is international risk and all of the above. The correct answer is actually all of the above. Okay, next part. A cost driver is an item of production overheads, a common cost which is shared over the cost centers, any cost relating to transport or any activity which generates costs. Cost driver is what, pata hai? Cost driver is basically a specific thing that is an activity which will determine how many times that particular thing is done, which is that particular area. Okay, it is actually D. Done. Then in activity-based costing in ABC, costs are accumulated by activity using cost driver, cost object, cost pools, or cost benefit. Costs are accumulated or kept together. It is in pools. Costs are always kept in pools there. Which of the following statements is correct? Good quality and lower quality are generally considered as a criteria for decision on import substitutes. If the product is of mass consumption, the price and demand would be too high. Correct. Then relevant costing is not a fixed or one-time concept. It is correct as well. So if more than 2 points are correct, it is always all of the above. Everyone, when you want import substitute, you will always want which is similar to the one that you are already using. Then the next part is if something is of mass consumption, if they change even a single thing, it will always affect the market badly rather. And relevant cost is basically the cost which is unavoidable or avoidable. It is avoidable. If you do that particular project, then only you will have to incur that cost, otherwise you will not. Then steps in ABC analysis. Activity based costing. First of all, you have to note down all the specific costs. You put a cost pool, then you note down all the activities, and then you allocate according to that. So this is there. Identification of activities, number one is correct. Identification of cost driver, this is also correct. So this will also be correct. That is overhead allocation. It is all of the above. Okay. Which of the following statement is true? Activity-based management involves activity analysis and performance measurement. Activity-based costing serves as a major source of information in ABM. True or false, or true, true, false, true, or false, false. Everyone, what's gonna be the answer according to you? Everybody, what's gonna be the answer according to you? In this case, the correct answer is, see, first part is definitely true because activity-based costing has it involves activity analysis and performance measurement, and the second part is also it is a major source of information. Both are true. Okay. Which of the following does not appear on the profit and loss statement of construction company that specializes in real estate? Revenue from apartment sales, interest is that is repaid to the financiers, cash that was put into the bank, or expenses related to depreciation. Which of the following does not appear in P&L? Anything, everything appears in the P&L, expenses and incomes, but this cash, this is a balance sheet item. Bank balance and cash are basically assets. ठीक है ना? They are not expenses. So this is not to be considered here. Then, which it is expected of the valuer to conduct himself in a professional manner with objectivity at all times by ensuring that his decisions are made without any existence of any kind of prejudice, with the use of force, with all full assurance, or without excessive influence of any party. When we talk about this here, I would say without any existence of prejudice, pre-judgment or presumptions, all those things should not be there when you are trying to find out the points there. Okay. Now, what's going to be the point? Which of the following is not a place where records of sales or real estate in a certain area can be gathered? Everywhere. Everyone, when we talk about sales of real estate, look at that part. You will find it in the sales data of registrar office. You go to registrar office, you will find it. Newspaper advertisement, you will find it. Information about auction sales, you will find it. But in equity market, you will never find about land and all. Which of the following valuation techniques is the best evaluating an owner occupied non-income producing residential bungalow? Discounted cash flow method, direct sales comparison method, profit approach, or hypothetical construction plan? Owner occupied is basically, see, when you're trying to compare your organization with any other, when you're trying to evaluate an organization, that is always in the direct sales. Okay, in this case you are comparing your organization with someone else's organization to find out matlab you just want to reduce your homework ki who will do that part ki acha I need to start from the scratch. Nobody wants to do that work from the scratch, so they just take someone else's work and that would be helpful. ठीक है ना? Done. चलिए, now moving on to the next point. Which of the following amounts to direct cost and is included in the replacement cost? material expense, financial expense, legal cost, or license. When we talk about direct cost is material cost because this talks about raw material. Raw material is directly associated with work. Other things are not. Okay, next point. When making valuations, market-based approaches should not be used. Everyone, the answer is given, so let's look at that directly. When we're talking about when making making valuations, you're taking the market-based approach. That means you need to know what is happening in the market. In the event that there are significant and unprecedented shifts in the market prices, what you need to look at. The answer is C. Okay? Next point. The discounted cash flow method of valuation is based on the discount for the future that is anticipated and is likely to be earned. The company valuation discounted cash flow is based upon the money that you will receive in the future, and that too at discounted rates. है ना? Simple. Discounted wala part is taking time value of money. Time value of money into consideration. So in this case, the answer is C. Anticipated cash flows along with discount rates. Okay, this answer is also visible. Under the discounted cash flow valuation, which of the following is typically employed as discounting factor? It is always overall cost of capital. Matlab debt, equity, even preference. All of these things are included, and then what you find is your WACC, weighted average cost of capital. Present value indicates value in use, the value of cash flows expected in future, value computed using the internal rate of return, or the present value which the buyer is willing to part with. Present value is linked with what? It is basically the money that you will receive in future and it is discounted to present situation. You know? So in this case, it is the value that you will receive in future, but you adjust it as per the present. Done? Chaliye, let's continue with the next point. It is what? The shares of a company are quoted at 40. Last year, the company had paid dividend of rupees 4 per share. The estimated growth of the company is approximately 16% per year. The required rate of return is 20%. What is the market value of each shares as per dividend growth model? Dividend growth model says D1 divided by P0 plus G. In this case, your dividend is what? Last year, the company had paid a dividend of 4 rupees and you have to adjust it as per the growth. The growth is what? The growth is 16% divided by your required rate of return. The required rate of return is 20% and your growth is what? 16%. This is your overall, this is how you define. Achha, you want what is the market price. In terms of market price, there's a different way. The formula is same d1 upon p0 plus g. This is your cost of equity. When you're trying to find this p0 is basically d1 upon r minus g. So in this case, your dividend is basically 4. 1 plus growth is 16% divided by 20 minus 16. This is the formula that you have to use. Based upon this, your answer would be 116. Okay? Then comes the relative valuation approach. Relative simply means that you are comparing two things. So it is not based upon income, not assets, or not liabilities. It is actually none of the above. Done, everyone? Chali, let's talk about the next question. The worth of an asset can be determined by analyzing its pricing in relation to the pricing of a comparable asset in terms of common variable such as earnings, cash flows, book value, and or the sale is known as. Everyone, when we're talking about the specific area of your pricing in terms of comparability, when you're comparing yourself, it is always the relative. See, I've already marked the answer though. The answer is B. Everyone, in this case, a ratio that illustrates the stock market readiness to pay 1 rupee. Just a moment. I was just solving the question there. So I'll just visible, everyone. Now it would be better. Look at this part, a ratio that illustrates stock market pricing. Stock market readiness to pay 1 rupee of earnings per share is referred to as earning multiple. This is known as, everyone, whenever you keep your stock market, your market price above and your earnings below, that is called what? This is market price above and your earnings below. This is the formula of PE ratio, price to earnings ratio. Okay? Then comes the next part. The price to earnings ratio goes up when any of the following conditions are met. When any of the following conditions are met, then your price to earnings ratio will go up. PE ratio normally goes up whenever your discount rate goes down. When your discount goes down and reinvestment, matlab everyone, when your discount goes down, then your profit goes up. And when your profit goes up, the people will definitely want to put more money into your organization. So your reinvestment rate will also go up. Next point, the answer is visible though. Which of the following is not factored into the WCC calculation? Weighted average cost of capital when we're talking about it. Weight or proportion of debt, then equity or proportion of weight, then individual tax rate or on interest income or cost of equity capital. When we talk about weighted average cost of capital, it talks about equity, it talks about the rate, it talks about everything else, but individual tax is not a part of it. Okay? Debt, preference shares, and all these are part of it, but individual tax rate is not a part of it. Next point. Acha. What are intangible assets? The assets which cannot be touched are intangible. They do not have a physical form. So in this case, first is non-monetary assets. They are non-monetary, but they are not tangible. Then financial assets which are devoid of physical substance. Everyone, reputation is not having financial situation. It doesn't have a financial existence. Brand name, trademark, we try to create financial, but they do not exactly financial. So they are devoid of this part altogether. So non-monetary assets devoid of physical substance. Which of the following approaches do you believe is most suitable for the purpose of determining the value of intangible assets? For intangible assets, you always find things easier when you compare. That means it is when it is relative in nature. Done. Then comes, which of the following is correct, everyone? The financial companies, by their very nature, are not highly levered. They are sometimes taking a lot of loans. This is not true. Then the next part is net interest income and fee income are the least important sources. The basic principle of accounting says that the capital in expenses must be separated from operating expenses. The capital beneficiary of technological change is always the firm and not the consumer. Everyone, which of the following is correct? Uh, C is correct, everyone. Your capital and your revenue expenditures, they should not be in the same lines. It's like I buy a pen and I buy a piece of land. They are not the same. They're two different things that we are doing. So in this case, the answer is C. Which of the following would be having a negative impact on the real estate? Real estate was hardly badly hit during COVID. Reason, people didn't have money. That means your low liquidity will always affect the real estate badly. A convertible security. Everyone, convertible security is any security which ultimately becomes equity. ठीक है, it can be any security. मतलब if it is debt or preference shares, any of these things would do. So what would be the answer? A bond or a preference shares that can be converted into an equity share of your choice of holder. ठीक है, ultimately it is in the hands of, वैसे ना पता है at one point of time it was in the hands of the company as it was compulsory. Now it is no more compulsory. Next point, which of the following statements is correct? A reverse merger, a smaller company takes the still smaller company. Everyone, smaller and bigger. Ideally, what happens is smaller is taken over by bigger. This is how things happen now. But when a small company takes over a bigger company, this is how we can define reverse merger. Why do they go for reverse merger? They go for reverse merger so that the smaller company gets a access to the bigger company's market. Bigger company would be listed in share market. Bigger company would have major accesses which the smaller could not have because of its smaller share size. So then it is making all these things so that they can actually work out. A merger is said to be synergistic if the combined value of the companies is greater than what? Synergistic means, everyone, value of A, B, the new company which is formed after amalgamation, is greater than value of A plus value of B individually. So when we talk about value of company A and value of company B, it should be greater than the AB there. Okay, so then if individual companies were more, that means we shouldn't have combined. But if the combined is more, that is where you have synergy. This is called synergy, everyone. Done. Which of the following entails dividing a large corporation such as conglomerate, which is comprised of various divisions, into multiple independent businesses? Everyone, conglomerate is not connected businesses. So maybe they were together and when you bring them out, matlab, see, stock split is basically the share is split. This is not the point. Amalgamation means combining. Share buyback means you are getting your particular shares back. Control is getting back to you. In this case, the correct answer is demerger. Okay. What kind of merger takes place when two companies whose line of business are completely unrelated? We have just talked about it. It is conglomerate. Congeneric is when two companies are connected. Conglomerate is when they are not connected. Acha, in this case, the answer is already visible. Let me tell you. Anti-takeover. Which of the following is not an example of a measure that a target company might take to avoid being acquired? Is not an example of a measure. Acha, is not an example. Huh? Poison puts is an example. There is nothing called poison calls. Either we have poison puts or poison pills. There is nothing called poison calls. Golden parachute is there and even staggered board is there. So this is just a terminology to confuse you. Everyone, which of the following terms best depicts the situation in which both parties are attempting to find a resolution to a complicated disagreement that is acceptable to both of them? Win mutual benefit, win lose, zero sum, or win win? The answer is win win, because this is where you look forward to it now. You want that you are both the companies which are coming together, they both are having a win-win situation, both are winning. Which of the following is not considered to be an intangible asset when it comes to the backdrop of negotiation? In terms of negotiation, which is not an intangible part, okay? Preserving healthy relationship is intangible, you cannot touch it. Final price, though you can touch it. So let's see the other part. The pressure to present oneself in is just an honorable light. This part is also something I can say is this is just an honorable is intangible in nature. Then comes importance of maintaining one's appearance is also intangible in nature. So this is B. Final prices. Money is definitely something that you pay. So in this case, I cannot say this is tangible. This is always intangible. Okay, when it comes to reaching an agreement on conditions of the merger, two of the most important post-merger. Post-merger is always where your negotiated prices. What had you worked upon? What were you thinking of when you joined the two organizations together? ठीक है ना? चलिए, moving on to the next point. It is increasingly common for M&A transactions to contemplate deferred contingent payments to sellers. You are saying that you will be making the payment later on as a part of consideration. When the buyer and seller cannot agree on a target company, they do not find the specific value of the target company, this type of payment, which is contingent upon happening of certain events or achieving a preset targets, such as meeting a post transaction earning goal, is known as contingent, deferred, contingent asset, or earnouts. The point is we haven't defined the specific payment yet. Okay, just because the valuation could not be done. So you're just basically having an earnout. Once the particular earning thing is done, then we look forward to it. Okay. A taxpayer in India may generally carry forward losses for a period of up to dash assessment years succeeding the assessment year in which the loss was first computed. In US it is 20 years, everyone, and in India it is what number of years? Do you know? 2, 5, 8, 10. In India it is 8. The arrears of dividend payment are distributed to the preference shares, often known as. Sometimes the preference shares, see, if the dividend is supposed to be given in every year, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you could not pay in second year. In the third year, you just gave third year only. This is called non-cumulative. You do not basically combine it and give it to anybody. When you combine and then give it to anyone, it's called cumulative. To accumulate or to collect and give any previous spending to the people is called cumulative preference shares. Preference shares are hybrid financial products with elements of debentures, equity shares, debentures and equity, or none of the above. See, preference lies between equity and debentures. It is actually C. A convertible bond with a par value of 100 is being sold for 520. Everyone, something which was basically for 500, now it is going at 520. What is the conversion price if the conversion ratio is 20? then what would be the point, everyone? It would be actually 25. How do we get it? 500 is your basically par value. So par value divided by 20 would be the point. For 20 you will be getting 1 na? So the conversion price is 25. Okay? The formula is par value divided by conversion ratio. Now the next part. When a share market price is rupees 30, the warrant contains a right to purchase one common stock and is exercisable at rupees 20 for a common share. Everyone, there's a particular share market price of 30. The particular thing you promise that I cannot give you share right now, but I promise that later on I can give you share of the company at rupees 20. The warrants theoretical price is 10. Your market price minus your exercise price. This is 30 minus 20 is giving you the value of rupees 10. What is warrant? Warrant is actually something that you assure that I don't have a share right now, but I'll give it to you in future. A warrant is a relatively dash option to buy dash at a predetermined exercise price over a specific period of time. Short-term debentures, long-term debentures, short-term equity or long-term equity. It is actually equity and that too long-term one. The answer is D. चलिए, continuing further. So in this case, the correct answer was long-term and equity shares. Everyone, what's the next question there? The next question is, okay. The next question is, which of the following projects will be associated with venture capital? A brand new venture of the steel sector, a brand new endeavor started by IIT and IIM pass outs involving cutting edge technology, a brand new endeavor with the high risk level of risk, or new project started by a well known business house. What's going to be the answer in this case, everyone? In this case, what's going to be the answer? When we're talking about a venture capital is what? Venture capital is basically a situation when in your organization is ready to take the risks and you are trying to come up with something new in the market. You know? So when you're trying to come up with something new and someone is helping you, venture capitalist is basically someone who's helping your organization to look forward towards the specific organization there. in this case, what is happening overall? When we are trying to find out the valuation there, it is what valuation? It is actually a brand new endeavor started by IIT and IIM pass outs with cutting edge technology. In most of the cases, the lifespan of private equity are predetermined to be around 5 years, 10 years, 7 years or 8 years. Normally the private equity are around 10 years. Okay, private equity is basically when you look forward towards the businesses and you look forward towards the growth that they can have. Okay, so private equity is basically you choosing the specific organization that this organization should now put their money into mine organization for the growth overall. Then the method by which the venture capital will realize its investment in the firm is known as exit route, arranging alternate private equity, bonus shares or acquiring institutional funding. In this case, the correct answer is your exit route. Now they are exiting the organization altogether, and then when you are exiting, then there's a specific amount that you will get back. This is to be termed as exit route. Venture capital investment is required by all companies, companies owned by the government, entrepreneurs who have innovative concepts, or all of the above mentioned. When we talk about venture capital is required by every organization whenever they are trying to look forward towards their growth. Okay? For example, startups require it. Okay? Startups require it when they need guidance as well as financial sums. So entrepreneurs which have innovative concepts and they do not get bank loans that easily. So what will they do? They will go to these venture capitalists for all their help. Okay, the last question for the day. A private equity fund will typically raise capital by people with significant financial footprint, pension funds, fund of funds, or every one of the above. A private equity fund, normally it is required by the people who are looking forward towards the bigger funding overall. Okay, so they would like to increase their working of operations. That would be the point there. Chali everyone, this is where I end my session regarding the IIBF book questions. I hope this particular session is helpful for you. If it was, then what you can do is please check out our organization, that is www.adda247.com. What you need to do is go on to the area of www.adda247.com, and here it is in the JIB and CIB area. Go on to the area of CIB June 2025 if you're planning for the next year. This is all that you can find. Don't forget to use the code Y541 because currently everybody who's planning for the next year or anything that you are attending our classes for the first time and preparing for the next time, then use the code Y541 and get it at 6499. 81% discount is going on if you download the app right away. Please go ahead and check it out right now. Thank you so much for being there everyone. Bye bye and good night.